My name is Sid Haas, and I'm the Vice President of Business Development here at LKCS. And today's webinar is going to focus on optimizing your local listings to generate business. So again, thank you for joining us today for the presentation. For those of you not familiar with the company, I've got one slide that introduces us. So LKCS is a financial marketing company that has a wide variety of services, focusing on both traditional and digital media. We really utilize data, in a variety of different ways to improve our clients, the results that our clients receive from their marketing campaigns. And obviously, with digital marketing and web development, we're seeing that optimizing campaigns and search engine optimization, all those things is very, very important. So that's really what we're going to be focusing, today's presentation on. So when we talk about those things, it's obviously important that we talk about Google. And that's really our focus, because Google is the king of search. And just to give you some numbers around that to show you how dominant Google is in the market today, when we look at just United States search engine market share, as of June 2019, last month, Google actually controlled 88% of all searches in the United States. I mean, that's huge when you compare it to, major competitors like Microsoft, which owns both Bing and Yahoo. I mean, they're non-existent. If you're going to focus on anything, you focus on Google. And why? Because it works. Users find the information that they're looking for. They know what to expect. These numbers fluctuate anywhere between 86.5% and 88% from month to month. So that number's not going down. It continues to increase month after month. And that's important because obviously traffic means visitors, and visitors mean business. So, if we equate that to other, marketing media, obviously if 88% of your traffic in your area drove on the same road, you'd purchase a billboard on that road. So, that means you need to adjust your marketing plan for Google. And we'll show you obviously some ways to do that. So just to give you a little introduction for those of you that, are fairly new to I guess, digital advertising in general. When you do a search, on Google, typically at the top or possibly on the right, depending on where you're looking, of a Google search box, Google search window, you'll actually see paid search ads and organic search listings. And you can identify those paid search ads by the word ad next to them. Otherwise, they'll look very similar to your organic search listings, which will appear below that. So you can obviously pay to play, right? You can pay to have your listings appear at the top of search listing, of a search listing for keywords and different search terms. And obviously there's, different schools of thought as to whether people click on ads, but the fact of the matter is that people do. But obviously the golden positioning is to be at the top of those organic listings, because the thought is that you can get there for free. In reality, you can't get there for free because it takes work. It takes a lot of work, especially when you're trying to get there for terms like mortgage loans and things like that. So when we talk about how you can position, get your pages and your websites to the top of those organic search results, what we're talking about is search engine optimization. That's the term, or SEO, is the acronym. And it's the idea, it's the concept of optimizing your website to improve your position in those organic search results. And SEO is a digital marketing strategy, I like to say, with no end. And the reason that it's a strategy with no end is because Google changes their search algorithms all the time. In fact, they change those algorithms more than once per day. So more than 365 times per year. So you can dial in your site, you can dial in a page for a specific search term, turn around next week, and that's changed. It might not change in a day, it may not change in a week, but it'll change. And they have major releases that change things. They just had one, about a month or so ago that changed changed a lot of people's search results quite substantially. But obviously your goal is to be on the first page of search results for key terms, and it's really impossible to get there for everything. There's companies out there that'll promise you the world and tell you they can get you into the first position. Maybe they can for a very short time. I doubt those claims. But search engine optimization is about content and coding. It's about the content of your website and of specific pages, and it's about the back-end coding of the website. A lot of things behind the scenes come into play. There's a lot of things in that search engine algorithm that identify how that site is built, how that page is built, how many times certain words appear on the page, the position on the page, whether those words are in heading tags and, different types of tags on the page. Now there's, all sorts of other tags involved, again, in the back end code. But when you budget for search engine optimization, that budget is really based on your goals and your expectations. And you have to work with, the company or the people that you're working with on SEO to really, realistically set those goals and expectations. Can you expect every page of your site to appear on that first page of search results? I don't think you can, unless you're really spending a heck of a lot of money and a lot of effort. But can you get there, for certain pages or for certain terms in a certain amount of time? Probably. But again, it's really going to be about developing a substantial amount of content, in addition to making sure that the code is correct. And when it comes to local search engine optimization, we're going to spend most of our time today talking about local search. We're talking about, in a lot of cases, building separate pages for each of your branch locations or each community that you serve. Because what you'll find is that you'll get better results with multiple pages, a page at least for each branch location, than having one page with multiple listings on it, which is what we see for most financial institutions. You'll get, it's highly relevant in Google searches. These pages are highly relevant in searches when they're packed with content specific to that location or to that community. And Google will see that relevance and rank those pages higher in search results. So these pages will typically include links to community resources, events, organizations, etc. And you'll also obviously want to encourage backlinks, or encourage those sites to link back to you. It's all going to drive those pages higher. So that when people are searching for, a bank or a credit union near them, or a bank or a credit union in this specific community, or a bank or a credit union in this county, your pages are going to be found at the top of those search results. And you also have to get ready for voice. Voice searches, we keep seeing things, and people have backed off of this, but, voice is supposed to become the dominant way that people are searching, right? Kind of the Siri and Amazon Alexas, I guess, have gotten us conditioned for this. But when it comes to voice, it really is, again, about building website content and lots of it. Because when we search for voice, if you think about how you ask for things by voice, it's different than how you ask for things by typing something into a search engine. Voice searches tend to ask who, what, when, where, why, and how. What is a money market? Who can help me get a mortgage? I mean, you see those questions listed. I don't have to read them. But those are the types of things that people are going to be starting to ask when asking a search engine verbally. So can they ask your website these questions, and can they get an answer? And websites have to be built specifically with schemas and schema tags to be able to answer these types of questions. And you need to start to target what we call long tail keywords. So when you're optimizing web pages and blog posts, you need to optimize those for conversational phrases. So it's no longer enough to just focus on the term auto loans, but focus on getting the best auto loan and getting the fastest loan approval. Because again, that's what people are going to be searching for when they're searching for voice. How can I where can I find the best auto loan? How can I get my loan approved the fastest? And those types of long tail keywords and building content around that are what's going to move you to the top of those search results. But this isn't an SEO presentation. I'm not going to spend the entire hour on SEO because I certainly can. This is a presentation about improving your local search ranking. And it's similar, but it's different. Because when we talk about local search rankings, you really need to think about Google Maps and in particular Google My Business. So they're different animals. They're related certainly, but they are different. So when we talk about Google My Business is Google's way that businesses manage their information on Google Maps. And Google Maps often appear in web searches, especially when people are searching on mobile devices, and we'll get to that in just a second. And once you verify your locations and you claim your Google My Business listings, your Google My Business, what they call a knowledge graph panel, your Google My Business information will appear in search results, just like you see in this example. We'll pick on this client a little bit throughout the presentation today. You have to understand that Google search is localized. So when I perform a Google search here in our office in Peru, I'm going to get different search results than if I perform this search at home, than if I perform this search in your office, than if I perform the search anywhere else. So if you do the search just like you're seeing here, mortgage loan near me, you're going to see different results based on exactly where you are. Any search that you have that's location-based, that has a town name, that references any type of location, or in this case, saying it's near something or around something, or anything that Google indicates you're trying to localize or trying to find something based on location, they're going to provide results specific to your location. And that is going to change based on where you are physically performing that location, whether you're on a desktop computer or a phone or, whatever you're using to search. So those results are going to be different. So obviously when I did this search here in Peru, Illinois, I'm pulling up searches, and pulling up banks and advertisers around our office. That's going to be different for you. And that's really important to know, especially when we start to optimize for search engines, because your offices might be spread out. So you might not think that, when you're doing a search, you might say, hey, wait a minute, we're not coming up at the top of the search results, but you might be for the person in the next town over. And there's ways that we can find that, by the way. But when you're just doing a search in your, on your computer, you're not seeing always the full picture. And the Google 3-pack, what we call the Google 3-pack, is a critical place to be. So now, whenever you're doing a location-based search, Google presents this map. And typically 3, sometimes 4 listings, by the way. They're playing with that. And this is what we call the Google 3-pack. These magic 3 banks, or in this case, 3 businesses. In this case, they happen to be banks, but it's the Google 3-pack. It's really, really important, especially on mobile devices, but they're seeing this more and more even in desktop searches. Over half of all Google searches happen on smartphones now. And shouldn't be surprising to anybody, because probably more than half of all web searches or web visits happen on smartphones now, even to your websites most likely. Nearly a third of all Google mobile searches relate to location. Probably not too surprising because of how mobile a phone is. We're taking our phones wherever we go, and I want to find, the local, the closest Mexican restaurant to me or whatever it is. So a third of all Google mobile searches relate to location. But here's the critical number, is that 44% of people will click on one of those three listings that appear in the Google 3-pack. They're not going to go too far beyond those three. They might, but getting your bank or credit union listed into that Google 3-pack is pretty darn important. And there's ways that you can influence your ability to get into that 3-pack. So let's take a look at these listings. Let's try to start to figure out Google's algorithms and try to figure out how, in this case, Midland got its name up into that listing. And we're going to look at the third listing just because I picked on that one, but we could look at any of them. When you click on one of those listings in the 3-pack, you're actually brought to the full Google Map listings, and you're presented with many more options to choose from. So you'll get a longer list of locations. And here's what's interesting. So when we click on that listing, first thing I want to point out is the fact that at the top happens to be an ad. So in this case, Midland States Bank is also paying for an ad. But notice that when we clicked and we saw the Google 3-pack, the ad didn't show up. So if I go back and look at that ad listing or look at the 3-pack listing, it wasn't the ad location. That happened to be the same location, but it wasn't the ad that showed up in the 3-pack. So it wasn't just the fact that they were willing to pay that influenced their ability to show up in the 3-pack. That could, in some cases, but the algorithm doesn't automatically, because you're willing to pay, put you in the 3-pack. So that's not the end-all, be-all, but it does, in this case, put them at the top of the page of all map listings, which certainly can't hurt, by the way. But the actual listing that we're looking at is still third below the ad. So there's 3 organic map listings. So the 3-pack listings are the 3 below that ad that we're looking at. And that's the one that we've clicked on and we're seeing on the right-hand side to see what other information it's pulling up. Interestingly, for Fifth Third, which is the first of the 3-pack listings, Google is pointing out that their website specifically mentions small business and checking. If you remember the search that I was performing, and I should have pointed that out, I can go back. The search I was performing was for small business checking accounts near me. So obviously this weighed heavily into Google deciding to show Fifth Third above the other listings on this page. So how did Midland get here? When we start looking a little bit further into the listings, we start to see some of the information that Google pulls into Google My Business and into your map listings. And one of the key things to start looking at is Google reviews. And we're going to talk about reviews, but reviews weigh heavily into your placement into the map listings. And the second thing that weighs heavily is actually the consistency of your data listings. How consistent is the information that Google finds about your listings? You'll also see that Midland has an event listed. So how are they doing that? Where is Google picking up what we call the metadata for that event? And you can see that they have some photos that they've published. They've got some general brand photos. They've got a photo of the branch, of that specific location. So how are they publishing that information? And if we were to scroll down further on this listing, we'd actually see their, reviews and some more information that they published to their listings. They've claimed their listings, and the fact that they claim their listings and they're publishing information to them is significantly influencing their search position, even though their website isn't necessarily the best one out there. Now we can see that Fifth Third did a better job optimizing their website, and that got them into the first position. But Midland did a better job optimizing their Google My Business listings, which put them ahead of the rest of their competitors. It's a heck of a lot easier to optimize your Google My Business listings than to optimize your website. We'll show you how to do it. We'll take a look at Fifth Third's listings just to show you. While they have a higher overall rating, they have less reviews. And you can see that they didn't really publish any additional information in their listing. So it's really their website that's doing the heavy lifting to get them to the first position here. Let's take a look at one more example. I did a search for mortgage loans in Rockford. And when I did that search, we've got 3 mortgage companies that came to the top. Interesting. It wasn't banks or credit unions, it's 3 mortgage lenders. They've all got a high number of reviews. Because of the high number of reviews and the high ratings, Google actually presents those review stars right on their listings. That's something to strive for. Reviews are critically important. We're going to spend some more time talking about reviews in a little while. How you can attract and how you can encourage people to review you online, and why that's a really good idea. When we click into these, I want to look at this Platinum Home Mortgage Company. They actually do a fantastic job with their Google My Business listings. It's a company to actually look at online for Google My Business and what they're doing with it. So this is their listing. Again, when I click, we'll actually see 2 ads that appear at the top. Chase and Stillman Bank. Okay. They get to the top because they're paying to be at the top. Platinum, Envoy, Academy Mortgage, and Wintrust aren't paying to be there, but they appear there. Okay. Obviously, Chase and Wintrust, these are some big guys, right? They're not fooling around. When we look at Platinum's listing in particular, we can see that Platinum's posting information. Unfortunately, in this case, when I took the screenshot a couple of days ago, Platinum didn't have a current post. It's very common for this company, and for a lot of companies, by the way, to actually post posts to Google My Business, much like you're posting posts to Facebook and other social media sites. Unfortunately, they didn't have a current one when I took the screenshot, so let me show you what those look like. But this is where their kind of about information looks like that they're posting there. This is where their posts would normally appear. Unfortunately, I think they only stay for like 5 days or something like that. Their last post, I want to say, was right around July 4th. Actually, it wasn't. It was even older than that. So these are their 2 most frequent posts that they had. One was from June 18th and one was from June 14th. But these posts would actually show right in their Google My Business listings. And I want to show you what that can look like, because unfortunately they didn't have one, and I couldn't find a financial institution post that did. We do this ourselves. So this is actually a screenshot from our own Google My Business listing. So if you were to look at LKCS, if you just do a search for LKCS and look at our Google My Business listing, this is exactly what you'll see. Inside of Google My Business, you will see our From LKCS, our about statement, and then you'll see some Google My Business posts. Every few days, we're putting a new post out there, and it's the same content typically that we're posting to Facebook. We're also posting to Google My Business. So you can actually see us promoting the same webinar that you're in today, promoting that right on Google My Business. And that greatly improves our search positioning inside of Google. Super easy to do, and it's not hard at all for you to publish. to each of your Google My Business listings for each of your locations. And it greatly improves the search positioning. So when we talk about local business listings, your local listings include a lot more than just your business name, address, and phone number. So that data is what we call NAP, name, address, and phone number. That's critical information. Local listing sites include local business directories, or a lot of business, not just local business, but include business directories online. They include social media sites. They include review sites. They include industry listings. So examples, obviously, the big one is Google Maps or Google My Business. But Yelp, Yellow Pages, Foursquare, Yellowbot, Merchant Circle, and dozens of other local listing sites are out there. They all have information about every one of your branches. You're already in those directories. They can contain hours, they can contain photos, they can contain product and service descriptions, they can contain reviews, they can contain lots of information. The problem is that data is typically between 75 to 95% inaccurate. It is not accurate because you don't have the time to go out there and correct it. You don't have the time to go out and find all of those listings for all of your branches. You don't have the time to go out there and contact every one of those websites. And you don't have the time, obviously, then to go in and correct them. But Google indexes all of the information from every one of those websites, and it compares it to the information that it knows about all of your branches. And it knows that it's 75 to 95% inaccurate. And because of that, that's negatively affecting your search engine ranking. So even if you've gone and claimed your Google My Business listings and you've corrected your information in Google My Business, Google still knows that this inaccurate information exists all over the internet. And that's negatively affecting your placement. And it's negatively affecting your ability to place in that coveted 3-pack. So you need to fix this. And it's not that hard to fix. But there's 3 ways you can fix it. So you can fix it manually. Like I said, you can go out and visit every one of those listings. There's dozens and dozens of them. I can give you a list of at least 40 of them. You can go out to each one of those websites. You can claim each listing for each location. You can submit your information, and you can wait and wait and wait and wait and hope that eventually those sites update your information. It's not a good way to do it, but you can do it that way. There's aggregators. There's about 4 of them. There's a company called Axiom that you've probably heard of. It's a division of TransUnion. There's a company called Factual. There's Info USA. And there's a company called Newstar, which is also known as Localese. It's very inexpensive to submit your information to these aggregators. They're called aggregators because they aggregate tons of information online. You submit your information, they'll send it to all of, dozens and dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of different websites. And you can wait and wait and wait. And maybe nothing happens because they don't guarantee ever that your listings get updated. But it's cheap. I don't know the cost. I haven't looked into it for a long time. But it's easy to do. It's just not a great way to do it. And then there's direct integration. So you can actually directly submit your information to dozens of these sites through APIs, through application interfaces, where the changes are applied and seen online nearly instantly. A much, much better way to do it because you can see the results. You know that the information you've submitted has been accepted, and you know that the changes were made. And then you know that your information is consistent across all of those listings. And then you know that Google knows that your information is consistent across all of those listings. Unfortunately, it's a little bit more expensive than the other 2 ways. Saves you a lot of time, because it's instant, but you're paying for that. Hold that thought, because we're going to come back to local listings in a few minutes. We're going to switch gears and talk a little bit about reviews. So I'm sure you've all bought things on Amazon. Every one of us has. You've probably bought things on Amazon this week. If you're my wife, you probably bought something on Amazon today. But half of all shoppers now rely primarily on reviews. We're all guilty of it. I don't think it's guilt, by the way. I think it's not a bad thing. Almost 25% of people now are checking Amazon reviews when physically standing inside a retail store. I've done it. I'll be standing there in front of some product and I'll go, I don't know if this is any good, and I'll go to Amazon and I'll look and see what people say about it. A third of shoppers will not buy a product that hasn't been positively reviewed. And yet only 5 to 10% of Amazon customers actually write reviews. So half of us rely primarily on the thoughts of 5 to 10% of people. And negative reviews, by the way, aren't all bad. Because if the reviews that you get are all 5-star perfect reviews, no one believes them. The optimal rating to get is actually 4.6 stars. Because people expect you to get some negative reviews. But why does Amazon matter to a credit union or a bank? Why does this matter? Well, let's go back to Google and let's remember that platinum home mortgage listing that we looked at. The fact is that 63.6% of people now look to Google for reviews. Google is the number one place that people look for online reviews, and Facebook is close behind. Review stars, I said here, are shown with every local Google search. They're actually changing that. It's not everyone, but it's most. The algorithm changed recently. I don't know, obviously Google doesn't publish the information, but it's once you receive over a certain number of reviews, Google is going to show your review ranking and the number of stars and the number of reviews that you have. I don't know if it's 50, I don't know if it's 100, I don't know what the number is. But you reach that magic threshold and they'll show your listing with every local search that you have. 88% of consumers trust online business reviews. So they're trusting those Google reviews and those Facebook reviews. And remember that number before was like 44% of people would click on the 3-pack listings. Well, that number jumps to 56% if you have a positive star rating. So if you have 3 stars or higher, you've got an even better chance of getting somebody to click on your 3-pack listings. And listings with 1 or 2 star ratings generate less clicks than ratings with no stars. So obviously you want to have a positive star rating. The good thing is that reviews are getting more positive. Everybody's afraid of negative reviews. It's just like everybody's afraid of negative comments on social media, and it keeps a lot of people from going out and establishing Facebook pages and things like that. But people understand that online reviews are no longer a place for people to go just to air their grievances. They don't. Unless they have a legitimate gripe about your product, they're not going to submit a negative review. But people expect businesses to respond to negative reviews. If you get a negative review, you have the ability to respond to it. You're not going to get into an online debate. It's just like a negative comment on Facebook. But you can certainly respond and take that, comment offline and respond to it. We apologize for that, or, just take the comment, respond to it, and take the conversation offline. We can show you lots of different ways that you can respond to negative comments and negative reviews. So what can you do? Reviews are becoming critically important to financial institutions. In 2017, the numbers were that 13% of consumers said they were likely to leave a review after a positive experience at a bank. Last year it was 19%. I don't see it happening. I don't see 19% of people leaving reviews, but that number's going up. At least the number's going up to say that people say that they're more willing or more likely to leave a review. So what can you do? Well, put the odds in your favor by inviting people to leave reviews. And it's pretty easy now. There's lots of systems out there where you can invite people that have positive experiences at your branches. You can invite them to leave online reviews via an email or a text message. So somebody has a positive experience at the teller line, they have a positive experience with a loan officer, whatever it is, they just opened their new accounts. Send them a text message with a link, send them an email with a link. Before they leave the branch, let them know, hey, I'm going to send you an email inviting you to leave a review. It would really help if you could, leave us a positive review. You don't have to say anything to the person that has a negative experience, the person that's upset with you, right? You don't want to encourage the negative reviews, but you certainly can encourage the positive reviews. Get those positive reviews and get ahead of your competitors and drive those star ratings up. And by the way, Google pays attention to when the reviews come in, because getting 100 positive reviews now and then stopping and not getting any reviews for the next 6 months isn't going to help you 6 months from now, because your listings are going to dwindle back down a little bit. So it's kind of a continuous process. You're going to have to continuously get new reviews. But Google is putting a heavy emphasis on businesses that are getting positive reviews, that are publishing content to Google My Business, and that are ensuring that their listing information is consistent across the web. So those really should be some of your online marketing strategies for the rest of this year and going into 2020. And they're not hard, because there are affordable tools available to help with all three of those initiatives. So LKCS does have a business citation listing service that will update your branch listing on all of those local listing sites. Remember that third option with the direct API integration? We have direct API integrations with over 45 of those local listing sites. We can post events and promotions when you're doing that to Google My Business. Those posts can be done instantly, or they can be scheduled ahead of time. And if you want, if you need to, you can actually submit manual updates, that first option, to hundreds of other local listing sites. And we'll even do the human follow-up for you if needed. So if you submit to one of these other local listing sites that we don't have an API integration for, and we don't see that listing updated, we'll actually make the phone call, for you to follow up and find out why that information hasn't been updated. We also provide local search analytics. So included with the service, you'll see from Google how many profile views, how many Google My Business views, how many people are looking at your listings through Google My Business, Google Maps, how many people visited your websites from a Google Maps listing or a Google 3-pack listing, how many phone calls were generated, so from a mobile device, how many people clicked on your listing and then clicked on your phone number from Google My Business or Google Maps, how many driving direction requests people got. It's very, very common. I pick on my kids all the time, but I don't think they can get home in most cases without Google Maps. So, it's very common with Google Maps anymore. People are, with those location-based searches, when they're searching for that bank nearest them or that mortgage loan near them, and that map listing comes up, they're going to click on your Google 3-pack listing, and then they're going to click for driving directions. So how many people do that in a month? It's pretty interesting information to get. And our tool is going to help you generate online reviews, because included with it is that ability for you to send review invitations via email and text. And it has automatic follow-up emails to those non-responders. So if you send an email, to somebody and they haven't submitted an online review, it'll send follow-up emails to them at whatever schedule you set up. So in 2 days or in 7 days, it'll send up to 2 more emails reminding them, with custom text that you specify, encouraging them to submit that online review. You'll get email notifications of new reviews. And we also provide a widget that allows you to display positive reviews on your website. So you can even control, do you want to only display 4 and 5-star reviews, only 5-star reviews? So you can take those Google reviews, repurpose them to actually display on your website. So a great way to also show some testimonials and some reviews on your site. So here's a free offer for you. You can scan your branch location listings. You can see the information that Google sees on like 35 or 40 different websites, these location listings for free, no charge, no obligation. We're not, you don't have to, sign up for anything. Just go to scan.lk-cs.com. The system will have you put in, the address and information for one of your branches. You can put in all of them for free, it doesn't matter. And then it'll actually return and show you all of the information that Google finds for all these different listing services. And you can see how accurate or inaccurate that information is. Unfortunately, it won't correct it for you for free. That's where we come in. If you choose to move forward, our location listing management service, just to show you what the cost is, it costs $500 per year per location. And if you sign up within 30 days of today's webinar, we'll waive the initial setup fee on up to 3 locations. And that's what I've got for you today. So I'll stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions. I don't see any that came in yet online. But thank you very much for attending the webinar. I hope that we were able to provide some good information for you on local listings and how you can manage your local listings, ways you can kind of control that information and what Google sees about you. And I'm available to answer any questions now or in the future. Thank you.